Welcome back to X-Men Classics, episode 36. And now it's been a little while since I've actually done one of these. And I have decided that in order to keep moving forward with the X-Men stuff, I've decided to conclude the Spotlight era stuff in a couple specials. Okay, and those will be coming soon, eventually. But, starting with this episode and for the next little while, it's going to be the Chris Claremont era. Started with a book that he technically did not write. Yeah, there's a common confusion exactly, because this book is technically the start of the Chris Claremont era, but he never wrote it. What book is this? Giant Size X-Men #1. Now, before I talk about the actual story of this issue, I should point out that this cover has been spoofed many times over the years. This one, along with another cover I'm going to talk about really soon, where This cover's also been basically for like X-Men Daily Genesis #1, then for Ecstatic #1, X-Men Giant Size #1. It's been spoofed a few times over the years, but the reason why? Such a damn good cover. I think even Deadpool has actually done a spoof of this very cover. Yeah. But I should point out that the book is actually not written by Chris Claremont. It is written by Len Wein, the creator of Wolverine and Swamp Thing, which you may not know, he's also the co-creator of Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Thunderbird, which I'll get to him soon. Yeah. Now the issue opens up with Nightcrawler. Basically, how he usually is picked the first time he's ever actually shown up. Even the X-Men cartoon depicts this too, where he's being chased by people basically because they think he's a demon. He's running around telling people getting pitchforks and torches, pitchforks, and try to kill him because he looks like a demon. In actuality, his father is a demon, but he doesn't know this yet. That part does not come until the 2000s, so kind of spoiling what happened with Chuck Austin did with him, whatever who his biological father is. Yeah, it's quite bizarre. Despite the fact Nightcrawler is German, and he speaks with a German accent. His father is a demon, despite the fact his mother is actually American. Yep. So everyone's trying to kill him because he's a demon, and all of a sudden the villagers just stop, and then Charles Xavier comes in and recruits him to join the X-Men. And the big explanation why. Of course, he just says, oh yeah, he's a mutant, and he needs to come with him. Everyone just frozen in time. Basically, Charles Xavier, prior to his death, he actually stopped doing this. He didn't do this that much. And it cut away to Wolverine, cut away to Canada, where you see Wolverine making his first appearance since that three-parter from Incredible Hulk, which chronologically and publication-wise, this part of Wolverine's life takes place after Incredible Hulk 182. Despite fact 180 to 182 is technically considered his first appearance. This is considered kind of like his fourth publication appearance, but it takes place after that three-parter. And there's actually a reference to the Hulk, reference to his debut, his first full appearance on Incredible Hulk 181. Now, Len Wein also wrote that issue as well, and he basically, in that issue, Wolverine's claws were actually part of his gloves, so basically it was like a retcon that he was actually a mutant. So, basically, Charles Xavier invites him to join the X-Men, and he does. And then this guy, basically, and this will later come back to haunt him a little bit later, where he just resigns his commission by slicing up this guy's tie. Yep. And they go and leave. Then we have a quick 2 panels of Xavier recruiting Banshee. It's like, okay, fine. And then we have Storm in probably her second chronological appearance after her appearance in X-Men Hidden Years. Basically, she's in the African jungle, wearing nothing but she's topless. Yeah, Storm is topless in her debut appearance. I mean, I get the fact Storm is supposed to be a gorgeous woman, but really. And she's not wearing, her only piece of clothing she's wearing is this bottom half, which covers up her naughty bits. But yeah, she walks on topless because her hair is so freaking long, so it covers up her breast. Yeah. So it just creates storms, stuff like that. And I like how they actually use her hair and her arms to censor her nipples, which I do appreciate the artist doing that. And of course, basically, it's like Xavier's like, oh yeah, Storm's mutant, come with him. Like she's like, okay, you have offer, okay, cool. And we cut to Japan, where Xavier's recruiting Sunfire, who actually chronologically made his last previous appearance in the pages of this is actually his second ever appearance, but his previous appearance was in The X-Men number 65. In the case of Banshee, this is the first time since the pages of Captain America he's been seen. And then we cut away to Russia. We see the first ever appearance of Colossus. And he gets to save his sister, though this later retcon, this is not the first time he's actually transformed using his steel form. It's just that very moment that people took notice. So he does it because he wants to save his sister Ileana, which Ileana, otherwise known as Magic, basically in present day, and she's much more older and drop dead gorgeous. I'm not kidding. If you see her in the pages of any of the comics she appeared in the last 5 years, she's always depicted as being this gorgeous woman in her. She looks like she's in her early 20s, I'd say. Almost like any guy who's reading the comics basically wants to bang this girl so badly because of how hot she is. Some might say she's hotter than Emma Frost, but they both got the same hair color. But here she's picked as a little girl, which you could say about her older self, but here don't have any naughty thoughts about her. I mean, yeah, she's beautiful when she's a little girl, and when she's an older woman. Yep. So Xavier recruits him to go to America, join the X-Men, though he doesn't say it. And then you see the first appearance of Thunderbird. Yep, Thunderbird. Yeah, he's something else altogether. Yeah, he doesn't last too long. I'll explain at the end of the video. So Xavier recruits him to join the X-Men. Initially, he's hesitant at first, but then he joins and then he decides to join when he thought that he thinks just to make sure he doesn't think that the Apache are not cowards. And then they're given the brand spanking new costumes. Though Sunfire, Banshee, and Wolverine already had costumes, but the four new characters, Colossus, Storm, Thunderbird, and Nightcrawler all get their costumes. Though Nightcrawler kind of has something similar to that, but it's explained that the costumes are made by unsealed molecules, and there's a reference to Reed Richards because Reed Richards and Charles have known each other for years. And Sunfire's like, yeah, I'm losing my patience. Why did you drag us here? It's like, okay, fine. And then all of a sudden they get used to Cyclops in his, I think this is supposed to be his second official costume, which he still wears this. Basically, he wears this up until his retirement from the X-Men. Yeah, he wears this for almost I'd say 15 years he wears this costume, which by far of all the costumes Cyclops has ever worn in years, this costume right here is his longest running costume. Yeah, Marvel would not allow any. I think artists love this costume so much that they allow him to keep the costume the whole time. Sunfire, in their hand, Sunfire, as far as I know, has never changed his costume. Here is Banshee. Nightcrawler never officially changed his costume till I'd say around the Chuck Austin era is when they finally gave him a new costume. Storm will keep her costume up until the 80s that she's wearing here. Same thing with Colossus, though he go back and forth between this costume and a different one. But generally, Wolverine will wear this costume for pretty much the next decade until he's forced to wear that ugly orange and brown costume. Yeah, I mean, I know one person likes the costume. I'm not going to mention who, but I do not like that costume. My favorite Wolverine costume is this one right here. This is my favorite Wolverine costume right here, which has also been drawn by the awesome Jim Lee when he was doing the X-Men title back in the early 90s, but I love that costume. Yeah, so basically, the Cyclops gets introduced and he says the X-Men simply disappeared. So he shows him Cerebro, which, okay, that's actually a good idea to do. because the guy knows about this. Basically, it's a mutant detector, and he explains what happened. That the X-Men, the previous X-Men, which is at that time consisted of Cyclops himself, Charles Xavier, Angel, Marvel Girl, aka Jean Grey, Iceman, Polaris, and Havoc. Excuse me. Beast at this point had already joined the Avengers, so he is not in this book at all. Despite the fact, yes, he is on the cover. That's him right there in the corner. That's his only appearance related to this comic. He is nowhere in this comic. So, the X-Men use an early version of the Blackbird, which they call the Sarah, but technically, I think I refer to it as like, I would say it's kind of like, how should I put this? It's kind of like the Blackbird Mark 1. That's what this is. This is more of the traditional jets that they would normally use over the years. And as for how many Blackbirds they go through the years, oh boy, I think they go through about 20 Blackbirds over the years. I think it keeps getting wrecked as much as the Quinjets from the Avengers. So they go investigate. They go to this island where they think there's a mutant there. And they go looking around, and it finds out that the actual island is actually a mutant. Well, I think they don't say it. I think they say it's like something attacked them, get the X-Men disappear, and of course Cyclops manages to get back to his jet, and apparently his costume is ruined and his visor gets destroyed. Well, the visor he had at that point. I think that's his Mark 1 visor. Then they get back to the and says Professor Xavier back like Xavier's like, where's the others? Like something has happened to them, and of course because he's the only one to escape from the island. And then all of a sudden his powers are coming back, and then cover his eyes, and then he managed to modify one of his own visors, which I kind of like this version. This is kind of like Cyclops, but I think this is kind of like Mark III. Yes. I should also mention that the artist for this book is David Cochran, and the guy does a really good job depicting these characters. So they go back to Corda to find the X. Basically, finds out Corda is a mutant. The whole island is sentient, which James A. kind of brings us back. The whole idea of dirt being sentient, basically with Corda's grandson in the pages of Wolverine and the X-Men. So the X-Men go off in the Starro Jet, aka Blackbird Mark 1, and they go off to the island. Of course, Sunfire is hesitant to go there, and says, then he comes in and comes aboard, and they land on the island. Banshee like a pleasure working with the lady. Yeah, Banshee was known for being a ladies. He's known for being a ladies' man at that point. Yeah, so. And of course, there's actually a line in which they repeat in the X-Men cartoon. It says, "Cripes, do you have to screech like that?" Yeah, This is also mentioned in the X-Men cartoon where Banshee. It's like if you watch some of the episodes of the X-Men cartoon, it's like they pulled stuff from this comic and earlier comics and put it into like the first few seasons of the show. So they, while everybody's off flying. Despite the fact Colossus can't fly, but he can still land. So then Cyclops and Thunderbird land their Surrogate and look around, and then try to look for yes, I don't believe it. And all of a sudden the Surrogate disappears, and then this temple pops up out of nowhere. Yeah. Of course, the island attacks them. Ever gets to the temple. Nice butt shot of Storm. Yep, we got a nice butt shot of Storm. Yep. Looking up that very real. That it doesn't happen as often as it does today. We get frequent butt shots. Yep. Wolverine slicing and dicing like he usually does. Let's see what else. And of course, Nightcrawler gets attacked by birds with Sunfire, and of course he gets to the temple, and then they find the other X-Men, minus Beast, which they don't reference in the story at all, despite the fact that anybody who reading Avengers at this point knows Beast is part of the Avengers. And then of course everyone's like waking up, and yeah, and Angel's like, yeah, you foolish understand, he wanted you to come back, bring Earth with you, was a trap. We get to see, we're trying to see what Crota looks like in monster form. This is Crota, drawn beautifully by Dave Cockrum. Dave Cockrum was the original artist of this era of the X-Men, before people like John Byrne took over the book. And of course, the X kind of explain what happened, like they were captured and held prisoner by Crota. And of course, the X-Men battle Crota, and they pretty much like kill the creature. Yeah, they spend the next several pages fighting and try to kill the creature. And they succeed. They actually do destroy the creature. They actually send the island to space. Yeah, they got the island, and they send the island into space, where it is probably never seen again. Trouble ahead, and I think they find the Starjet. And then there's a quote that says, like, it wasn't designed to carry this many. It says, what are we going to do with 13 X-Men? And we cut away to X-Men number 94. Yes, counting before they get returns for the first time in a while in this issue. Now, this issue is definitely the first issue Chris Claremont himself ever wrote for the series, which Landon stays on as co-plotter. He just does this issue and the following issue. Well, of course, Giant Size X number 1. And then after that, Chris Claremont had a couple co-plotters before he took over as, well, even later on, John Byrne would take over as co-plotter as well. But Chris Claremont is a regular writer. So, and then we cut away to this issue, where apparently it's been 2 days since the events of Giant Size X number 1. So figure out who's staying, who's going. Sunfire is the first one to leave. Bye bye. He's not seen again for like a year in the comic, but he does come back. Banshee thought he was going to leave, then he decided to stay. So it's like, oh yeah, you have gray hairs. Here's rubbish. Your hair's as gray as mine. Because he has no hair. It's so funny. He's like, okay, I'll stay. And then the original X-Men decided to just leave. All but Cyclops. Cyclops is the only one that does stay. Jean does later come back. Does kind of come back and stay. But yeah. And of course we have it where the basically we know that Cyclops and Jean Grey are in relationships. So everybody just leaves. So we just, and then of course they take everyone to the danger room, which he didn't show him before, but I kind of get why he didn't show him before. Like, okay. Yeah, he thinks the exercise. Thunderbird thinks it's stupid until he's thrown back in there. And of course, we have this wonderful montage splash page of the X-Men training in Danger Room. That's funny. He calls him Shamrock. Yeah, he calls him a couple times, and he calls Cyclops One Eye. But eventually, he later. Some people call it Banshee Irish. So. And of course, because Thunderbird got hurt, so Cyclops been arguing for a couple panels, and Xavier Steps is like, "Knock it off, you two," and tells Thunderbird to tells two of them, Thunderbird go to the infirmary, and Scott come to the office. Okay, fine. Then we cut away to what looks like we see the Anti-Men. I think that's what he called it. Yeah, the Anti-Men. Which are attacking some military base. This is them. Yeah, they're associates of Count Nefardia. Which, there he is. First time since, let's see, I'm trying to remember, what was the last time? Oh, yeah. It was X-Men number 22 was the last time he actually fought the X-Men. Actually, it might have been 24. Was him in a group of C-list villains that basically teamed up to fight the X-Men. And this is the first time in a while that he has fought them. Traditionally, Count Nefardia is an Iron Man Avengers villain, but I kind of hesitant of why that Chris Claremont would use him as the first villain to have him fight me. Why not use one of the regular X-Men villains? Why this guy? Never explained. But yeah, he does reference about the villains he fought during the classic days during the Roy Thomas run. We teamed up with Porcupine, Unicorn. Basically, who we teamed up with was basically a group of C-listers, basically comprising of Iron Man and I would say Human Torch villains. Yeah, basically him and a group of C-listers. But he says he escaped prison and created the Anti-Men. And we cut away to the mansion. Of course, come to the firm, come to the briefing room, and of course, yeah, they notice that Count Nefardia has come back now. Cyclops, he himself has fought this guy before, so he knows what he's dealing with. But then we have Beastram's like, hey, that's the store professor. What happened to the X-Men? These are the X-Men, Hank. Please continue. Okay, Professor, if you say so. The Air Force called the Avengers to help, so, but we can't handle it right now. I figured the X-Men could. Yeah, yeah, like, I can't believe. Yeah, this is basically the price of shock, seeing that the other X-Men have left. He doesn't know any who these other X-Men are. But all he eventually does later on. Knows them over the years. So, yeah. So they go off to find Count Nefardia. And while the army is trying to get into his base, the X-Men get in, and he knows who the X-Men are because he's fought them before. So yeah, by having this rich jest, yeah, he's known for saying these very weird lines. Yeah, that's one thing about Count Nefardia. Now, is this guy dead now? No, the guy's still alive. So yeah, he sends missiles after them, which destroys their jet. And the X-Men go falling. And then we cut away to X-Men 95. Which is not the homage cover I'm talking about, basically. It says, not a hoax, not a dream. This issue, an X-Men dies. I'll tell you who that is in a bit. Now, this issue right here, I should also noteworthy mention, this is the last time Linwood writes an issue for Uncanny X-Men. Because next issue, with 96, Bill Mantle takes over one issue before... Excuse me. Chris Claremont does a solo. Yep. So the X-Men are falling. And of course, we get like a recap of the previous issue. Yeah, and of course, everybody gets together. And of course, Storm uses her powers to basically slow everybody down a bit. Of course, everybody's just grabbing anyone who can fly except Cyclops. Well, Colossus can still have the whole no problem, but not everybody else. So they all just... And of course Cyclops nearly gets it with a tree, and of course Banshee picks him up. Hey Job Hop, and he says, oh yeah, let's just go in and attack this. How are you gonna do that? He can crack... Like, how he's like his first plan. Get inside the Valhalla base. And Sniper's like, how are you gonna do that? You use a key? Yeah, he says... Yeah, and he keeps correcting him, but despite the fact he calls him One Eye, despite the fact he keeps telling him his name is Cyclops. I don't get it of why Chris Claremont wrote him this way, where he keep calling Cyclops One Eye, and he called Banshee Shamrock. Though he call him Irish. First tells Nightcrawler to go teleport to see if anybody's inside, and then he gets knocked out when he gets inside. by one of the he gets attacked by one of the Anti-Men. And of course he takes him on. And then of course Captain the Friday is like angry, like, get them! Like, no, get them! And then Nightcrawler opens the door. X-Men storm in. Now let's go stuffy in here. Yeah, it turns out it's the gas. Yeah, and of course these guys, these air police come completely and they're trying to shoot the X-Men. That doesn't go where, and then they take out the X-Men. Well, the X take them out. And they take on the Anti-Men. And while fighting, they destroy the consoles. And of course, yeah, it's explained later. I'll explain it in a minute, basically, what happens. Yeah, and they continue fighting. Most of them and basically is engaged in self-destruct. So, Thunderbird and everyone tries to go stop Captain the Friday. And of course, Thunderbird jumps on the plane. And he bashes the plane in. Tries to upside down sequence. It says they're doing the whole commission when you're fighting the Anti-Man. And they all get outside quickly. And of course, the plane that Thunderbird's on, basically, he trying to get to Captain the Friday. He just get out the plane because it's going to explode. And then Thunderbird dies. Yep, first X-Men to die in battle. Yep. Yeah, and everyone's like shocked to see that he had died. And I'll end it right there. What actually, I mean, I'm not exactly, even though I'm kind of stuttering a bit when it comes to trying to explain these 3 issues, but these 3 issues are a great start to the Chris Claremont era. You have the introduction to characters from Giant Size X #1, and you have a great 2-part to start off the Chris Claremont era with the return of Captain the Friday. So overall, 3 really good issues, and I give them a 9 out of 10. Okay, in the next episode, issues 96 and 97. And plus, one of those issues, a new supporting character makes their first ever appearance in this comic. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be episode 37. Where, like I said, X-Men 96, 97. Okay, so until then, I will see you there. Bye.